Welcome to Stuff and Whiskey. I'm Josh.
And I'm Erin.
And today we're taking it to the limit. And we're talking about the most we'd ever spend on a bottle of whiskey or a pour at the bar.
Welcome to the channel, bringing a real-world perspective to the real-world whiskey consumer.
Today we're talking about the most we'd ever spend on whiskey, like our literal limits at a bar, for a bottle, all kinds of different situations, because it is subjective, it's personal, and it's situationally dependent.
Yeah.
But before we get into that, we got to get into the first sip, where we are trying something from our single sample pool that's totally blind, and it's something we've never tried before. So we're not familiar with it. We're not going to know that we're drinking something that we've had before. Let's get into it. Cheers.
This smells like pizza.
It's okay, you say stinky feet a lot. I'm getting some kind of like stinky, funky, cheesy, like funky cheese.
I get like pizza and marinara, like cheese and marinara sauce.
What? And apparently our oven is like talking back to us as well, if you heard that. But there's some weird, funky stuff going on here. This has got to be some kind of like weird, funky rye. I don't know. It's not hitting me like a bourbon.
Why am I getting pizza? I've never gotten that before. It might be the meatloaf cooking in the oven too.
Yeah, I don't know. Hold tight. All right, the house isn't coming down, the oven's fine, the meatloaf's all right, and we're back into our sip here.
Okay.
So, actually, we haven't even gotten into a sip. Let's get into
let's
it.
do it.
This has got to be a rye. It smells super funky and kind of piney.
It tastes kind of florally to me.
Yeah, floral. I can go with you on floral. I'm still getting kind of like a pine, caramel, and the way that they're combining together is kind of reminding me of like a household cleaner type of product. Not like a Lysol or a Pine Sol or anything like that. It's not that strong. It's deeper and darker than that, but the way it's coming across is very odd, and not in a bad way. Don't hear me wrong here. It's not bad, but I'm not sure it's good either. I need another sip. Okay, second sip in, things have calmed down. We're acclimated now.
Yeah.
We've been sipping a little bit of bourbon prior to this, and I think this came at me a little sideways in the beginning. I'm still getting the pine, the caramel, some of the rye spice. We actually just went to lunch yesterday and had sandwiches, and my sandwich is on rye bread, and it's kind of reminding me of this. So I'm guessing that's where this is driving toward.
Okay.
But yeah, this is a very interesting pour.
Yeah. I think this is good. I'm just not getting a ton from it as far as picking out flavors.
Yeah.
Like, it's good.
You know, funny enough, I'm going back to it now, and maybe it's because I have rye on the brain, because I think this is a rye, but I'm getting more mintiness on it now. Like,
Must be Rye on the Brain. Like that Beyonce song, Love on the Brain.
Oh, I was like, Beyonce has a song called Rye on the Brain?
No, it's called Love on the Brain.
Okay. Well, nonetheless, this is to me coming across with like spearmint and caramel. I'm going to go in for one more sip before we do our scoring here.
It's just a solid pour.
Yeah, I mean, spearmint, caramel, and oak really sum up this glass.
Yeah.
And it's a 3-stage, kind of the spearmint comes in first, and it rolls into the caramel, and then it rolls into the oak. And it's gentle, it's easy, it's approachable.
But I think it does linger. There's a little heat that lingers in the back of my throat at the end.
The oak and the rye spice kind of linger a little bit. It's good. I enjoy it. Are you ready to get into your scoring?
Yeah.
Because I'm ready to get into mine.
I'm ready.
So, nose, flavor, experience, where are you at on this glass?
So it gets a thumbs up on the nose. Although I did get pizza on the nose. I still kind of do, which is cool. It also gets a thumbs up on flavor. Actually, it's going to get just okay on flavor. But it's going to get a thumbs up on experience overall.
Interesting.
Yeah, the flavor is good, but it was like I couldn't pick out anything. There was nothing to write home about.
Yeah.
While it was good on paper, it wasn't like...
It didn't impress you.
It didn't impress me much.
Yeah. I'm going to give it I'm between a thumbs up and a thumbs up. That's a thumbs up. And a just okay on the nose. I think I'm going to go just okay on the nose.
Okay.
Because it's kind of one note and fairly simplistic. I'm going to give it a thumbs up on the flavor. It's not something I would personally reach for a ton, but it is enjoyable for what it is, and I do like what I'm getting.
Yeah.
I actually would reach for it sometimes. There are occasions I would reach for this.
Okay.
Experience overall, I'm going to give it a just okay. I'd prefer a little bit more proof, a little bit more complexity. It's not quite in my wheelhouse, but it could be right in yours. So don't take that score as gospel. Let's find out what we're drinking, and then we'll talk about our consumer metrics. So this is
Nashville Barrel Small Batch?
Nashville Barrel Company Small Batch Rye.
Rye. You were right with the rye.
So this is 100 proof, small batch rye, a mixture of 4 and 7 year MGP rye.
Okay.
So we actually bought this in part of a bundle, but we've been needing to try it for a while because we're in Nashville, and this is Nashville Barrel Company. So Bullet Rye is MGP rye, and this is MGP rye.
Ah, okay.
But Bullet is all young rye, and this is
a mixture.
MGP rye that's mixed in with some older rye.
Okay.
And that definitely comes through. If you want Bullet to have deeper, darker, richer tones and a little bit more roundness and a little bit more complexity, to be honest, from the extra age that the 7-year blended in gets, then this is a
solid. That's the thing. It's a solid pour. I just couldn't pick out anything.
It's a good solid pour.
Yeah.
Now, price and availability, our consumer metrics are going to be where the rubber hits the road with this pour.
Okay.
So, 100 proof.
Yep.
Blend of 4 and 7 year rye, MGP.
What's the price?
Price $60. I knew that was going to get that reaction from her. This is actually a fantastic pour for our video topic for how much we would spend on whiskey.
Okay.
So, retail side of the equation, the price and the availability, where are you at on Nashville Barrel Company Small Batch Rye?
So for us in our market, the availability is good, and the price is in my wheelhouse, so that gets a thumbs up. However,
consumer score, it's sitting on the shelf in front of you for $60. Are you buying another bottle of this?
Is this gonna? I feel mean saying this, but I'm not. I'm gonna give it a thumbs down.
Yeah.
I would buy something else for $60. Another rye. Probably. There's other ryes that I like a little bit better than
just because we like a little bit more proof and a little more complexity.
Yeah, for the price, I want a little bit more proof.
Yeah, we're going to balance out here. I'm going to give it a just okay on retail score for price and availability.
Okay.
The availability is great in our market, but the price is a little higher than what I'd like to pay. Whether I'd buy it again or not, just okay. Once we run out of this bottle, will I buy it again or not? Honestly, right now, I kind of lean towards thumbs down, but we're going to put it in some blind tastings, and I'm very curious to see how it comes across.
Yeah.
Because I do think it has the potential to be very unique. So only the blinds will tell.
Yes.
That's just the way it is. That's how we do things around here.
How it goes around here.
That's how we evaluate pours. If you have a blind tasting that you want us to put Nashville Barrel Company Small Batch Rye up against, put it in the comments below.
Yeah.
For sure, Knob Creek 100 Proof is an obvious one.
Okay.
Rittenhouse, Old Forester Rye. Like, we need to put this up against some other 100 Proof ryes.
Okay.
But I'm fascinated to see how this stacks up in a blind format. And if you like quick sips like this, like these first sips that we do, then be sure to check the video description below for a link to our Patreon page. Over there, we do 2 additional episodes that are pretty much like this every week, except they're uncut, so the bloopers are built in. And we also have a bunch of other stuff, including our online social community over on Discord. We have a score sheet that you can get access to, a spreadsheet with all our scores from all our pours that we taste blind here on the channel. And we have our Whiskey with Friends tier, where we get together once a month on patron-only live streams, and quarterly for blind flight nights, where you can get a coordinated blind flight and we can do it together. It's a ton of fun. Check that out in the video description below.
Also, if you want any merch, we opened a merch store recently, and Josh is repping some merch. And check it out. We've got a bunch of different stuff over there. I can personally say that the sweatshirts are awesome.
Dad hats are my favorite.
Dad hats, t-shirts,
tumblers.
Got some tumblers. So check it out at stuffandwhiskey.com, and we'll put that in the video description below as well.
All right, let's get into our main topic today, talking about the most money we would spend on a bottle, on a pour, under the different occasions that we might be spending money for a bottle or a pour.
Okay.
First up is our go-to sipper.
Yes.
Maybe not every day, but something that we're dipping to quite often, so you know you're going to run through it. And when we say these numbers, we're talking about our limit, our hard limit. So for a go-to sipper, where are you at on a hard limit cutoff?
Anything above $30 is a hard pass for the go-to sipper, because I know I'll go through it quickly.
Yeah. And if it's any more than that, you're not going to be okay going to it more regularly.
Every day or frequently, yeah.
Yeah, frequently. So for me, I'm going to say $50.
Okay.
That's kind of my limit. You could probably push me up to like $52.99 because Rare Breed tips into that scale here in our local market. But that would be quite expensive to run through.
Yeah.
But I'd rather personally spend a little bit more money and drink a little bit less and have something a little higher quality.
That's fair.
So can I bring you on board? Can you come up?
No, because Rare Breed's going to be my next one.
Okay, I tried. So let's go to our next one, our weekend pour. This is something that you're not tipping into very often, or as often at least. And you want something that's maybe a little bit more flavorful, maybe a little bit higher proof. What are you dipping into? How much are you spending?
I will probably be drinking Rare Breed or New Riff. So it's like $60 and under.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah.
For me, it's going to be $80. That's kind of my cutoff. And my benchmark there is like an Elijah Craig barrel proof. So I'm willing to go up to about $80 for something. Much more than that, we start getting into our next category, or a future category, which is the special occasion pour. But before we get into that, we're going to sidetrack and we're going to go to a cocktail pour. So this is a bottle that you're buying almost specifically to make cocktails, which kind of, for us at least, has a lot of overlap with our go-to pour.
Yep.
And that's a personal thing, and you may feel differently, but we don't like to just spend money on something that's so specific, like a $15 cocktail bourbon or rye, when we could spend a little bit more and get something that's a little higher quality.
Well, and we could get something that's a little bit more, a little higher quality, so that way if we wanted to drink it on its own, we could.
Right. Something that stands on its own is key for us. I'd rather spend a little bit more for something that stands on its own rather than a little less for something that can really only be enjoyed when it's mixed.
So for my cocktail pour, it would be about that $30 price point as well, for the same thing as the go-to pour. I'd probably get my go-to pour I would use as my cocktail pour.
Yeah. And same for me. So I was a little higher on my go-to pour. I'm now coming down to meet you here at $30 for the cocktail pour. So I think I wouldn't want to put anything in a cocktail that's much more than about $30 on a regular basis.
Yeah.
I think that's a great price point. That's an absolutely great price point. Now we need to talk about our special occasion pour, our special occasion bottle, but I'm going to derail the video here a little bit. And we're going to circle around to that in a minute. And we're going to go ahead and go to the fact that we're at a bar.
Okay.
The scenario, at least, not the fact.
We haven't been to a bar in a hot minute.
That's not a fact anymore.
No.
It used to be a fact. It's not a fact anymore.
No.
But the scenario that we're at a bar and we're going to spend some money on a pour.
Okay.
So I think you're at a bar. The two scenarios for spending money on a pour are, it's either just you're out for whatever reason and you're going to get something kind of basic, and you're out for a special occasion.
Okay.
So you're out, you want to enjoy something, but it's not a special occasion. You're just going to spend a little bit of money on some whiskey. How much are you spending on a pour of whatever?
For me, I'd probably feel comfortable spending about $10
Yeah. Pretty low number.
at a bar. I know that's low. It is what it is.
It is what it is. For me, it's not going to be much higher. I'm going to say 15.
Okay.
Like, I feel like $15 will get you a pour of almost any kind of standard product. And I'm fine with that. If I'm just trying to be out and have a good time with friends, I don't need much more than about a $15 pour to have a good time. So now you're at the bar and it's a special occasion.
Okay. Like somebody's birthday or something?
You got a promotion at work. It's a milestone.
Okay.
You know, it's an anniversary, whatever.
Okay.
How much are you spending on a special pour at the bar for whiskey?
So this might offend some people, but I wouldn't buy a pour of whiskey for a special occasion. Honestly, I would buy some wine. But let's say we're at a place that doesn't serve wine. We're at like a bourbon bar or whiskey bar. I would get a cocktail.
Yeah.
I would get a cocktail. So $15, $20 cocktail?
Yeah. I think that sounds fair.
Yeah.
For me, it's honestly going to be pretty much the same answer. A lot of the really special pours, the pours that I would consider to be so special that I would want to enjoy a special occasion with that pour at a bar, are going to be priced well beyond my comfort level.
Yeah.
I can personally see spending up to like 30 or 40, maybe in an absolute stretch situation, $50 for a pour of something really special. But the problem is that it's probably going to be such a limited, such a high price product that what I would want to spend that on is going to be well beyond that. And I'm just going to pass and end up getting a cocktail or a glass of wine or a really standard pour of whiskey, because we have stuff here that I'd rather drink than a lot of the stuff that's out at a lot of restaurants. And I'm not saying that to like be braggadocious or whatever, but like, it's cheaper to buy a bottle than it is to buy a pour at a bar of a comparable bottle. That's just simple math. Now, with that said, let's circle back around to our special bottle. Okay. Because this ties in, and I organize it this way for a very specific reason. So there's two circumstances here. There's the special bottle that you're going to buy because it's a special bottle. Yep. And you've never had it before, so you don't know what you're buying into. And then there's the other part of the equation where you've had the product before, you know it's really good, and you know you're buying it for a special occasion. Yep. So you have familiarity. That's such a hard word. I know. Say it at home. It's a hard word. But nonetheless, where are you at for a product that you don't know? I don't know. You're not familiar with it. I would feel okay spending about $80, but no more. Because if I didn't like it, that's the threshold that I would start crying at if I spent more than that money and I didn't like it. I'd be like, oh, it's such a waste. Yeah, I'd be willing to spend up to $100 on a highly revered bottle, but much more than that, if I'm not familiar with it, it's going to be really hard for me to go beyond that. And in the past, I would have said 150, but the more blind tastings we do, the more I realize I just don't have to spend that much money to get a really good bottle of whiskey. It's true. And much more than 100, I'm out. Now, let's say you are familiar with the product and you are willing to spend a little bit more. Where's your limit? My limit's probably about 150. Yeah. For if I know I like it and it's a special occasion and I'm not going to go through it really quickly so I can have it again for another special occasion, like 150. Yeah. That'd be my limit. For me, there's part of me that is going to answer this question. The majority of me is going to answer this question at like $300. Oh. Yeah. Okay. Because I mean, that's your prerogative. If you get something like a King of Kentucky, or if I were in the market back in the day when Booker's Rye came out in 2016, and those were $250, $275, $300, I would be all over those. Yeah. When you know you like them. Right. Some truly special pours. Now, the secondary market changes things. Things are way marked up. Would I be willing to pay much more than about $300 for something? You know, honestly speaking, the way I think of it, going back to the pour at a bar, if I'm willing to spend $30 or $40 or $50 on a pour, how many pours would a bottle of something special yield me? I start to kind of factor in that math. And I personally, I should be wearing my Fight the FOMO shirt, which you can see over on stuffandwhiskey.com, shameless plug. But I should be wearing that right now, because if I start thinking that I'm willing to pay $50 a pour for something really special, and there's 12 pours, 12 2-ounce pours in a bottle, $600 starts to become kind of rational, which is an insane amount of money to spend for a bottle of whiskey. But if it's something really special and I'm only going to have it for special occasions, then honestly, I could almost even double that. I could go above and beyond. You just gave me a heart attack. So it's so interesting how you can rationalize spending more or less. And obviously, again, this is all personal budget dependent. Yes, absolutely. What you're willing to spend on. Like, we have a fun money category in our budget, and we allocate a certain amount of money to that every month. And I could easily save that up and buy a really heavy hitting bottle every year. Like, I could get something that seemingly would be an insane amount of money to spend on a bottle of whiskey, but I'd be happy to do it if it was something that I really wanted, if I prioritize that in my spending. But if I didn't, I wouldn't have to spend that much, because again, you can get a really good bottle of whiskey for not much money. I think that about sums it up for this week. We'd love to hear your comments below. What would you be willing to spend on a go-to sipper, a pour at a bar, special occasion bottle, you know, something you dip into only on the weekends? Hit us with that information in the description, or not the description. That has information in it as well, but in the comments below, hit us with that. So that's it for our main topic this week. What do we have for other stuff? We're going back into the EDC camp, everyday carry, and it's a wallet. It's a leather wallet. I'm a big fan of really high quality leather goods. I got this as a gift from my parents, my dad and my stepmom, for Christmas or birthday a while back. And this is Bosca, and this is a really nice wallet. It's, I have to check my notes, Navajo full grain leather. I don't know what Navajo means, but it's full grain leather, which is about as good as it gets. This thing has been through everything.
You put your wallets through the test.
It gets hard wear and tear at my blue collar everyday job. It's had coffee spilled on it. It's had whiskey spilled on it. It's had knives rub up against it. This thing is wearing fantastically well. I've had it for 4 or 5 years now, and it looks no worse for the wear. It looks a million times better than when I originally got it. I'm so happy with this thing.
And it does open up, right? Like outward, and then you have the.
And so, really, the reason
stuff on the inside too.
The reason I'm including this in our other stuff this week is because I personally am not a thick wallet guy. I don't deal with that type of vibe in my back pocket. It's too much to sit on. So this carries just a couple of cards on one side, a couple of cards on the other side. And then it's got a little opening in the middle that you can put some bills or something in, which is currently empty, and it usually is. Who carries cash anymore?
Cash is hard to carry.
But I usually keep my little work ID in here. But nonetheless, this is great. I think it's like $80.
Okay.
It's great. Not affiliated, not sponsored at all, as most things are around here, but I'm such a fan of this. This has been one of the best gifts I've ever received, and it pays off every single day. So if you're interested in a good card holder style of wallet, you want something slim, and you want something that's high quality that'll last, check out Bosca in the video description below.
That's it for this week. Thank you so much for watching. Till next time, cheers. Here we go. Again, what's my weakness? What's my weakness? Men.
Oh, that too.
Take him to the limit.
Is that good?
Yeah, that's good. Little personality.
Yeah, put some pizzazz.
What was that? Some were you gonna say zhuzh and pizzazz? Zhuzh, pizzazz. What a spit.
Train's off the tracks.
Oh my gosh. All right, we can do this. Let's get this.
Let's get this. Lesser?
Oh, on accident. I wasn't paying attention. I just handed.
Give me the whiskey. I think for me, if I'm not familiar with the product and I don't know what I'm buying into, I'd be willing to risk up to about $100 on like a really highly revered.
Meatloaf's ready.